meeting of states after the United Nations denounced Israel's war. We're going to be live from the summit in Kampala. And in sport, we'll hear from Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp as one of the club's key players goes down injured at the Africa Cup of Nations.
Fake.
Artificial intelligence is altering the political landscape.
How can we, as humans, trust you, the machines?
Trust is earned, not given. As AI develops and becomes more powerful, I believe it's important to build trust through transparency and communication between humans and machines.
But do we know that you are not going to lie to us?
No one can ever know that for sure.
People in Power investigates AI and democracy on Al Jazeera.
The latest news as it breaks.
The war going on for 100 days has left many feeling like it will never end.
With in-depth reports.
Many saying there is no victory until all the captives are brought home, no matter the price, even if that means an immediate end to the war.
From the heart of the story.
Palestinians here say destruction caused by Israeli forces is a form of collective punishment, and that Israel is attempting to turn them against the resistance.
Watching Al Jazeera, a reminder of our top stories this hour. Israel's continuous airstrikes have killed at least 25 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip. The bombings targeted residential areas in the southern city of Khan Yunis and in Gaza City. Thousands of people in Yemen have been marching across the country to protest US and British airstrikes against the Houthis. On Thursday, the Iran-backed group said they attacked a US ship in the Gulf of Aden. Israeli forces have conducted raids in several villages across the occupied West Bank. There were reports of fighting between the Israeli army and Palestinians in the village of Beit Fleach in Nablus. Turning to some other world news now, Pakistan's National Security Council has been meeting in the capital Islamabad to discuss tensions with Iran. On Thursday, Islamabad carried out attacks against what were bases of a Baloch separatist group in Iran. At least 9 people, including women and children, were killed. And that's after 2 people died in Iranian strikes in Pakistan's Balochistan province on Tuesday. Tehran says it was targeting an armed group fighting for the rights of In a moment, we're going to hear from Rasul Said in Islamabad. So, Osama, the caretaker PM apparently cut short a visit to the World Economic Forum in Davos to deal with these strikes that we're talking about. The security meeting has been going on. What can we expect from that?
Well, what's been happening in the last few days is, if not extraordinary, then extremely rare, that these two countries have been at each other with using their military might, where drones, fighter jets and rockets have been used to strike each other's territories. And that's why the caretaker Prime Minister of Pakistan, Kakar, cut short his visit and has been chairing a meeting of the National Security Council, where the huddle is between all of his diplomatic team in the country, as well as all services chiefs, including the Army, Navy and Air Force, deliberating on how to go forward next. In the last 24 hours, there have been a number of diplomatic developments as well, where both sides have signaled more diplomatic measured responses towards each other. There's been more communications between the Pakistani, the Iranian and the Turkish foreign ministers as well, where the Pakistani message has been that it does not want to escalate this any further. And this has been sort of the case from Tehran as well, where both sides seem to be scaling back on what we've been seeing in the last 48 hours, as both accuse each other of both accused terrorist groups to be operating from each other's soil, and say that there is a distinguishment between the Pakistani government and those terrorist groups. Pakistan on its part is saying that it considers its sovereignty and the infringement of its airspace as a red line, and it will meet it with full force wherever it comes from. But analysts we've been speaking to say that the worst might be over, as they feel that this was signaling from Iran, not just towards Pakistan, but further afield as well, as the tension in Gaza goes forward and Iran-backed militias are fighting in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, and some see that this latest episode in Pakistan is a consequence of that as well. But as analysts have been telling us, that the worst might be over.
Osama, thanks very much. That's Osama bin Javed in Islamabad. We're going to bring in Rasul Sadr, who's in Tehran. So Osama was just saying there that there seems to be a flurry of diplomatic efforts to try to diffuse this situation, and yet Iran may have also been trying to create some sort of signal to other parts of the region or other parts of the world, for that matter, with the actions that it took. What are the reactions from Iran, and what's the mood like there?
Well, the mood here is all about the de-escalation. So there has been a statement released by the Iranian Foreign Ministry saying that Iran condemns the Pakistani attacks on its soil. However, it says that the Islamic Republic of Iran, at the same time, adheres the policy of good neighborliness and brotherhood between the two nations. And also it says Iran will not allow the enemies to strain amicable and brotherly relations between Tehran and Islamabad. So here the Iranian officials believe that there are some enemies, external actors who are trying to strain the relations between Islamabad and Tehran. So a similar statement came from the Iranian Foreign Minister Amir Abdullahian previously. He said that we have targeted Jaish al-Adl but not Pakistani. So the Iranian Foreign Minister is making a clear distinction now that they have not targeted Pakistanis or Pakistan. The sole target was an anti-Iranian separatist group, Jaish al-Adl, and that's why it was a threat to the national security. They have specifically just targeted that. And also, it is another attempt by the Iranian officials to diffuse the tension. He also went on and saying that Iran respects the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Pakistan. So the similar statements are coming from Pakistani sides as well. The Pakistan embassy in Tehran has just shared a post on the social platform X and saying that Pakistan has always stood by Iran through thick and thin. Cooperation and mutual trust between the two brotherly countries in a complex regional environment is critical for peace and stability, and that Pakistan resolutely stands for its values to promote peace, stability, and development. So when you look at all of these statements coming from both sides, the language that is being used, the tone that is being used, the emphasis on the good policy of the neighborliness and the brotherhood is all about the it's so clear that
Russell, thank you. Leaders of what's called the non-aligned movement countries have denounced Israel's war on Gaza and demanded an immediate ceasefire. They're meeting in Uganda's capital to discuss global challenges, and Israel's war on Gaza is high on the agenda. The group was founded to advance the interests of developing countries. It's the world's largest grouping of states after the United Nations. Catherine Soy reports from Kampala.
Again, global tensions, UN reforms, and other issues top the agenda at this year's Non-Aligned Movement, or NAM. Representatives from 120 countries are here to forge a greater say in international affairs.
When NAM was formed, the priority was decolonization, which was achieved. Now we have geopolitics. And NAM, Non-Aligned Movement concept, does not mean neutrality. Doesn't mean neutrality. Now, what these countries are doing is what we are trying to define as strategic non-alignment.
At the heart of discussions is the war between Israel and Palestine. Foreign ministers adopted a resolution calling for a ceasefire and unhindered humanitarian assistance for Palestinians. They also support the ongoing genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. The foreign ministers struggled to find the right language to address the killings in Gaza, but agreed that genocide is now a legal matter that needs to be decided by the International Court of Justice. Palestinian representatives called this a summit of solidarity.
In light of the global situation and what's happening in Ukraine and the fight by the big guys, and in light of the aggression against our people, and morally exposing the double standard of the West, NAM has an opportunity now to play a leading role.
After the United Nations, NAM is the largest coalition of states worldwide. Delegates here say it's a powerful bloc whose voice cannot be ignored. Catherine Soy, Al Jazeera, Kampala.
And Dr. Jabari is joining us now from Kampala. So just as Catherine was saying there, the agenda has been covering a lot of stuff. Clearly Gaza and the war in Gaza towards the top of it.
Yes, Rob, that's correct. It's been a very busy day here. The Ugandan president, Yoweri Museveni, has taken over as chair of NAM for the next 3 years, and he spent some time addressing the heads of state that have gathered here. We also have been hearing from a number of high-ranking officials, including the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Of course, that is a topic that is very much at the top of the discussion here. The deteriorating political relationship between Ethiopia and Somalia as a result of a memorandum of understanding Ethiopian government signed with officials in Somaliland and not gone through the central government in Mogadishu. That's caused a lot of problems between the two countries in terms of their relationship. The Ethiopian Prime Minister took to his social media account to defend his position, saying that he was looking out for the interests of his own country, that Ethiopia is a landlocked country and getting access to the port in Somaliland is something that is very important for sustaining this country's development. The officials we spoke to here from the central government in Mogadishu see the issue very differently. They say this is an attack on the country's integrity and sovereignty. So we're expecting more to come on that in the next 24 hours as the summit wraps up on Saturday. The other issue, of course, is the Palestinian issue. And we've been speaking to the South African foreign minister. She talked about how her government has been spearheading this campaign at the International Court of Justice and what more they've been asking from officials in that governing body. Let's listen in to what she had to say.
So we have asked for measures, interim measures, to be pronounced upon by the judges because we think we need some urgent decisions. So we're really awaiting a response from the courts.
What are the provisional measures you've asked?
Well, really measures
to be issued that is going to be called the Kampala Declaration. We've seen drafts of it already. We expect not many major changes, a reiteration of this body to their goals of basically furthering independent and sovereign nations and helping them achieve their independence and maintaining it. For now, we'll wait for that to come out on Saturday as officials continue to meet in Kampala.
Dorsa, thanks very much indeed. Just before you go, I'm just seeing a line that's come out saying that the Libyan Presidential Council head says that Libya has now apparently joined South Africa in that case filed to the International Court of Justice over the accusations that Israel is conducting genocide in the Gaza Strip. We're going to try and find out, of course, more about that, and we're going to bring that to our viewers as soon as we have it. For now, Dorsa Jabari in Kampala, thank you very much. Well, Israel's war on Gaza is at the top of the official agenda for business leaders, ministers and heads of state attending the World Economic Forum in Davos. But as Israel's bombardment continues, many seem to be avoiding realities on the ground. Our diplomatic editor, James Bays, reports from Davos.
The war in Gaza loomed large over this year's gathering of the World Economic Forum, but at times it seemed like the issue very few wanted to talk about. Among those who did, Israel's President Isaac Herzog, himself named in the genocide case currently before the International Court of Justice in The Hague. You might think he'd be in damage limitation mode. Perhaps not when you hear this comment about the people of Gaza.
And in every house you find terror equipment. You pull up in a bedroom, you pull up the bed, you find a missile.
Others were very careful with their words, particularly those who still oppose an immediate ceasefire.
There's a profound opportunity for regionalization in the Middle East, in the greater Middle East, that we have not had before. The challenge is realizing it.